Hey folks, it's Leon here again with LCW and Universal Feeders. Today I want to talk to you folks about starting your animals on a feeder and acclimating stock to the feeder. There's a couple things I like folks to keep in mind is one is when you start animals on the feeder, you want to start with a very safe feed. I like see folks starting with something like a soy hull pellet. There are some other options, maybe not quite as safe. One of the benefits is you can start animals on it with very low risk of acidosis, being that the rumen process is very similar to forage. So something I see happen from time to time is where people try to start livestock onto a saliva lick feeder and they run into problems. And usually when they run into problems, they're taking animals that were not currently getting any type of grain, for sure not a high starch grain, and they try to fill that feeder and just put the animals onto that feeder cold turkey and can turn into some very bad situations. And you end up with animals that get acidosis, they get diarrhea, they go lame. Sometimes acidosis can get so bad that it'll even kill animals. And we want to try to avoid that type of a train wreck situation. There are other feed options out there that are low starch, and if soy hulls aren't something that's available to you locally, and I do understand that there are parts of the country where they aren't readily available, I would encourage you to reach out to either us here at Universal Feeders or talk with your nutritionalist. Anything we can do to help, we'd be happy to try to help make some recommendations of what some options might be if soy hulls are not available. So if you need to reach out to us here at Universal Feeders, you can do that by giving us a call at 717-310-3641, or you can visit our website, www.lostcreekwholesalellc.com, and you can reach out to us there via our contact page or send us an email to info@lostcreekwholesale.net. So getting back to the subject of starting livestock on the feeder. So I like to see folks weigh out two days worth of soy hull pellets, put it in the feeder, and you can figure out how many soy hulls you need. You know how many animals you have in your paddock. You know, maybe weigh a 5-gallon bucket, measure in 2 days worth of soy hull pellets. And the key is when the animals come to the feeder, you want them to get a reward for coming to the feeder. And it takes a little bit for animals to figure out how to get the feed out of the lick groove down in here. So I like to see, raise that bar up high enough that the pellets can easily come underneath, and open the width up. You don't want the feed literally spilling out in the trough at the bottom there, but open it up wide enough that it's easy for the animals to get the feed. The key is when the animal comes up, smells that feed, you want it to figure it out. You want all the animals to figure it out. That's pretty important that all the animals in that pen know how to use the feeder. After day 2, you can maybe put a couple more days worth of pellets in, and now we're going to start restricting their intake a little bit. And by doing that, we're going to start narrowing that lick groove down. And in this step, what we want to be focusing on is trying to control consumption. So we want to adjust that thing down and start figuring out how many pounds per head per day they're actually eating. So you can start by looking at the chart on the end of your feeder. That feeder, the chart there is a place to start, and there's a lot of variations depending on what kind of animals you got, depending on the age, depending on what type of feed you got in there, whether it's a whole grain, whether it's pellets. There's so many variables, but you can look at that chart and start with that, make adjustments from there. So start backing the feeder down, and there again, looking at a 2-day supply of feed, adjust it down, put your 2 days supply in there, and then partway through that second day, take a look at what's in the feeder. If it's going down too fast, then you got to tighten it down a little more. If it's not going down fast enough, maybe you need to open it up a little bit. And once you start getting real close to that consumption rate per head per day, be careful when you make adjustments. Don't get too drastic. Once you get real close to being dialed in, a little adjustment can really make a big difference. So we had 2 days with the animals learning to use the feeder. Now you might have 5 days with them till you get your feed rate figured out. Now's where we want to start bringing in your final ration. So maybe you have a feed mix. Maybe it's shelled corn, oats, or maybe you have a custom-made pellet you want to put in here. I would suggest you start with with doing a mixture of 2/3 soy hulls, 1/3 your cereal grains, your pellet, whatever you're going to use. So now you have 2/3 soy hulls, 1/3 your feed ration. There again, put enough in there for about 2 days. Make sure that your consumption rate is where you want it. Run that mix for about 5 days. And then we can go to the third step, where now we switch that ratio around. Now we can switch to 2/3 our ration and 1/3 soy hull pellets. So at this point, we're now about 12 days into this transition. After you run that 2/3 feed, 1/3 soy hulls, after the 5 days, then maybe we can switch to our straight ration. Here again, remember, only put in 2 days worth, monitor your intake, make sure when you switch to that, now you don't have as many soy hull pellets in there, so it might feed out of there a little bit different. There again, like I said, monitor your consumption over a 2-day period. Once you feel like you're comfortable with the consumption rate, then you can fill the feeder up. And now you got the true benefit of a saliva lick feeder, where you can fill that feeder every 2 weeks, whatever it is, and the animals have that 24/7 access to that feeder, but can only have their quota for the day. And that, my friends, is how you start feeding your livestock one lick at a time with a universal feeder. Thanks again, and we'll catch up with you folks next time.